for having us, and I'm really excited to be here with you and to tell our story. I will say a couple of disclaimers at the beginning. We both are sick, so excuse all of this, but we felt it was so important, and of course you can't plan if you get sick. The other, Max wanted to say a couple of things before we start.
This is my first time ever public speaking, so I'm a bit nervous, but I am happy to be here.
It's okay.
We got you. So we're really just gonna have a conversation, and that's how I explained it to Max. It would be Max has been, as he's gotten older, been sort of I've watched him become an advocate on his own. He has some mental health blogs where he talks to his followers that he has about his mental health diagnosis. So this is talking to him about kind of growing his advocacy, and this is his first time, instead of being behind a camera talking to people, being in person. I've told our story a lot of times without Max, so it's very nice to have him here with me. And we'll just kind of take you on our journey that is still ongoing. So, Max wasn't a child placed in care, but easily I think about how he could have been, because had I not been able to be as strong as I was on my own as a single mom, I could have ended up in care. So I thank God for that blessing. We don't have a lot of family support, so it's really just been me, Max, and his brother, and that is where we really can relate to, from a family perspective, how things can just go so quickly awry when you don't have the proper supports in place. So we'll start our journey. My colleagues talked a lot about trauma, and so I'm going to kind of introduce the traumatic event that sort of spawned our journey, and that was my divorce from their father. And I was married for almost 18 years to their dad, and I, had my kids. I did everything perfect. Went to college, had kids, just thought I had this really perfect life, and ended up in another statistic. And I have two sons, as I indicated earlier, and Max is the younger of the two, and that was the trauma for him. His brother was okay, but I guess Max can kind of talk a little bit about some of the trauma he experienced at the time of our separation.
Yes. With the divorce, I kind of felt with my dad leaving the house, I started to feel like danger, almost kind of paranoid. That's when I noticed I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. That's what I'm diagnosed with, also with generalized anxiety. So that's when I started noticing I would check the locks a lot more, check out the window. I would hear a car pass. I have to check out the window, make sure there's nobody trying to get me or nobody. I would always I have to look back twice, look this way twice. It's just a bunch of compulsions, and I knew they were, like simple. I was just, why am I doing this? But I couldn't stop it. I got misdiagnosed at first when I was around 12, 13. They thought it was bipolar. So they gave me bipolar medicine, and that started a whole,
Yeah, so when initially he was exposed to the trauma of the divorce, I didn't catch it, and I'm a social work professional. I have a social work degree, I work in the field. But I didn't catch it. I think, what we have to give ourselves as human beings is you get caught up. I was caught up in my own sadness around my divorce and my own issues. And I can remember him coming to me in the middle of the night and saying, like, my thoughts won't stop. And I was like, I just laid down. I really didn't put anything together. And his misdiagnosis came along because his dad, there is a hereditary factor. And I think, we'll get into it a little bit as we go on, but his father being an African-American male, a traditional African-American family, they didn't address their mental health issues. And I think this is one of the reasons why it's so important for us to share our story, because that his father went undiagnosed for a long time, and when they did diagnose him, he went through his own issues with stigma. He was a police officer, And so it wasn't very manly to have a mental health disorder, to have a mental health disease. And, as I work with the ongoing distress after the trauma exposure, I think that's where we do a disservice to our families and to our children, is not measuring the level of ongoing distress there is after. And work with Max, I tell him that it's the same as if you were diagnosed with cancer. You cannot look at yourself as any different. And people don't understand that, and that's what we're here to do, is sort of remove that stigma. So as we move a little bit further into our story, Max talked about being misdiagnosed, and that was probably one of the roughest times, because he was put on medication for the wrong illness, and it made him go literally like crazy. So you can tell them about the time in the hallway, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was about 7th grade, so that'd be about 13. And I was getting homeschooled at the time because all this was going on. And, the little puppy pads that you use for dogs to pee on, I was peeing on them for some reason. So
that's literally how crazy the medication and the misdiagnosis made him. It was like a roller coaster. And so as we worked through that, Max wasn't going to school. And so here I am, the daughter of an elementary education teacher. Both his father's a master's in criminal justice. Education was just so important in our family. My oldest son is currently in law school. Max didn't go to school. Max, there was probably 6 straight months where Max didn't leave his room.
Yeah, I didn't feel, I guess, the paranoia. I couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't get around other people. I always just felt like someone was out to get me. So I just boxed myself into my room and just talked to nobody, didn't do anything. It was just like, a very low point in my life.
So I think around that time was probably the first time that Max told me, Mom, I want to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And so I'd already been going on this education battle journey, a lot of the things that Stacy and Sharon talked about with the education system. You have to fight the same for your child. And they really paid no attention until I had to take legal statutes and cut and paste them into emails and send them to the school board and superintendents, and then we did get some attention. But during that time, we were looking for help. I just wanted help for my son. That's all I wanted. I just wanted someone to say to me, we can help you. So his first hospitalization, the first time he threatened to kill himself, they just sent you home. They just sent you home. They
treat you like you're crazy, take away everything from you, your phone, nothing. You can't have anything on you. They sit you in a room and they just let you sit there, basically, until you say, basically, I feel better or something, and they let you go.
So you kind of learn how to play that game, because they're really one of the biggest parts of our advocacy is places for people to have mental health diagnosis to go when they need help, because there really aren't, in general across the country, there aren't these places. They don't have open beds that make places for kids to go and get help long term, particularly when you're a parent and you're struggling with dealing with some of the things that come with this diagnosis. And I was a professional and I knew where to go, and I still couldn't get help for my son. Through the first hospitalization, they thought that he had a brain tumor. He was in Children's Hospital for probably 2 weeks, because then they started thinking, well, it's not something mental, there's something wrong. Brain tumor, brain aneurysm. So we went through all these tests, nothing. So we go home again, and he's just getting sicker and sicker. And I felt so alone, because I didn't really, what I did for a living, I didn't want to present that I couldn't help my own kid. So how am I supposed to help my staff, my team, my families? So as we went along, I'll never forget, we went to a doctor in the city, part of our area, and he diagnosed him with OCD. It was the first time I'd actually heard that related to my son. And it all kind of made sense. And we did a timeline, and he talked about his symptoms, and it sort of made sense. These intrusive thoughts and then compulsions to relieve that stress. And then we thought, okay, now we know what it is, right? We can treat it. And that really wasn't the case. There weren't any OCD specialists, and I guess come to find out, a lot of practitioners no longer specialize in OCD. It's not a widely known craft within the psychiatric community any longer, and so we went through multiple therapists. Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
I've probably seen well over 10 therapists from the ages of 12, 13 till now. I'm currently seeing 2 different therapists. And the funny thing about it to me was none of the therapists I've ever had has actually had an anxiety disorder or an OCD. So I always wondered, how are you going to help me when you don't know what I'm going to do? Kind of basically a lot of them. Can I talk about the school now?
Yeah.
School, obviously, I was doing cyber school. I was homeschooled. I would try to always go back each year to go to school. I would make it to a month, maybe a month and a half. Then I'd go right back to cyber school. 11th grade was the year where my final, I dropped out. A lot of things led to that. I had about 6 credits in my junior year of high school due to missing all that school. You need 24 to graduate, 25 to graduate, so I was not on track to graduate. I had teachers telling me I will never go to college. I had teachers telling me I'll end up in the county jail. So all that kind of balled up into one. I kind of just, I dropped out of school and worked full-time and when I was 18, you couldn't get your GED until you're 18. So I went and took my GED test for the first time and I passed it. So now it's the same thing as a high school diploma. And I can go to college right now if I wanted to. I choose not to. But if I wanted to, I could be right there with everybody else. So I think that's just kind of like funny how, teachers, I thought they were supposed to motivate and push you to want to do better. Meanwhile, they're kind of pushing me the opposite way. And that's what led to me dropping out.
So it was through that time, that I remember that day signing that paper, because I had to sign for him to drop out. And I felt like the biggest failure as a parent. But I knew it wasn't healthy for him anymore to be in that environment. And I knew that we could make it work. We could make it work. But that he would take his GED and he would pass it. We would be okay. But that was a real hard day. I remember pulling off from school and thinking, I've just screwed this completely up. He's not even in school. So that was probably a big turning point for us, because then we were able to really focus on his care. Because my thing was, he couldn't learn because he couldn't think. He couldn't quiet his thoughts long enough to think. And so it was the stress. It seemed like everything was just magnified. And with all of that, it made it extremely difficult for him to be in school. So when he was able to sign out, we had that sort of more focused time, and he didn't have that pressure of having to be in school every day and hearing horrible things from teachers and from his peers. So we had the proper diagnosis, and we were able to start probably how many combinations? I think he's been on about 12 different combinations of medications. So we talk about to medicate or not medicate. That's a big debate. I felt like I wanted to try anything and everything. So I'll give you the things that we tried. I tried Reiki. I tried Mecca to the Holy Land, where we took prayed over this cloth, and all the family members wrote messages, and they took it on a Mecca to the Holy Land and prayed over him. Like I've tried everything. So medication was just one of those things that I felt would assist him, but it wouldn't be the end all, be all. So I think you can talk about probably like 10 combinations.
Yeah, there's well over 10 combinations of medicine they would give me. The thing about that is, when you're getting on it, side effects. I remember the one big side effect of one of my medicines was I gained a lot of weight. And that was in my 8th grade year of homeschooling. I gained like 20, 30 pounds off of this medicine. So that was one thing for me. And then getting off of the medicine when they're not working, a month later, because if you have to be on it for about 3 weeks to see, and then so after and trying to wean off of it, you have bad side effects. So all around, and all while I'm doing this, I'm trying to go to school, trying to get grades. It's almost impossible, and my head was just spinning around. And just kind of like a little example of what I mean when I say thoughts. Kind of like it happens every day. Basically, it's like another voice in my head saying, your mom's gonna die. You're gonna die. Someone's gonna come in this house and kill you. Someone's gonna, and I'm always watching the news. I'm always, which probably isn't the best thing to watch, but I just can't seem to shake these thoughts. And I wake up in the morning, and I'll just be having breakfast or something nice, and then the thought will hit me: your mom's gonna die, and obviously one day she will. So not really, it doesn't sit with me well.
So we kind of went through, at this point he's out of school, we have the proper diagnosis, and we're working towards proper medication. And so we go the medication roller coaster, and I did decide to keep trying. And I thought that we could get a good combination. I believe I'm obsessed with learning about the brain and mental health, and even in my work. So of course, relative to my son. And so I did as much research as I could, and I was telling the doctors what to try. I was saying, I read about this anaphrenone. This is this new great drug for OCD. It has had a lot of success. And the research is positive. Let's try this. And they'd be like, okay, let's try it. So literally that's how the scripts are being written. And so at this point, I think we've been on this round of medication for probably about 6 months, maybe longer, maybe like a year. And it seemed that you start at a low milligram and you work your way up. And it's more difficult because he's male and at that kind of adolescent stage, and his body's constantly changing, so to get the proper dosage is difficult. So you have to constantly monitor that. But at this point, where we are is that it helps, but it's never going to be a cure. And I think that's something that Max is really struggling with. I think that he wants to take a pill and just feel better, and he's still going to have these issues and thoughts and compulsions no matter what medication. We just had to find a combination that was the best. Yeah. I think it's important that you hear this part of his story.
So I'm out of school, and I'm working full time. I'm still going through all the problems I had. Intrusive thoughts. I would never sleep at night. I remember my schedule was I would stay up till about 6 in the morning, and I'd sleep till 3 p.m. and then I'd go to work at 4, come home, do the same thing over again. That was my life. I felt like a big failure because all my friends and everybody was in school, and I'm dropping everywhere. I would tell people I was out of school because I don't want to say, I'm dropping. It made me feel like less of it. So senior year comes, I take my GED test, I pass it, and it's actually this last summer, I was trying to find ways to cope with the anxiety. I moved into an apartment by myself. My brother lived with me, but wasn't home much. I think that kind of made it a little bit worse. I was very paranoid, still very paranoid. Always thought someone was gonna try to come in. Always thought it was in my head. So I experimented with painkillers, benzos, and that caused me to total my car. I would say I almost overdosed. My mom would, people, or around my circle would ask me and tell me, just stop, and honestly, I just wanted to numb out my body, just make my whole body numb. That's what I did. I tried alcohol. I hate alcohol. I would drink it if it didn't have anything, because I just wanted to numb my body. Cigarettes, I hate cigarettes. If I don't have anything, I need something, because I'm always thinking, my heart's always racing. Every time I have with my girlfriend, she'll be laying on my chest, she's like, Max, why is your heart racing so much? It's because I always have anxiety. I'm always aware. I'm always aware of my surroundings. People is a big thing to me. Like, I don't really understand people in my eyes, so I just kind of stay away. I box myself out. Also, like I said, all summer, all I would do was take these pills and stay in my room, and it wasn't helping anything. I mean, it would help for the half hour, 2 hours, but in the long run, I was spending all my money on it and just doing terrible things. I crashed my mom's car after I crashed my car twice. What else happened?
Like, so the apartment thing was his and his brother's idea, and I thought, once again, I wanted Max to move towards normalcy, and if he wanted to be like his friends. And so he and his brother were going to live in this apartment over the summer together. His brother was home from college, and in retrospect, it was a horrible idea. I wasn't far away at all, and I was there 3, 4, 5 times a week, but things got really out of control very quickly. And so within 30 days, he got fired from his job. His girlfriend broke up with him. He wrecked 3 times, totaling his car. And that was when he attempted suicide for the last time, and then we had to go through withdrawal from Xanax. So I think, this is fresh. It's this past July. I think there were a lot of valuable lessons that he had to learn himself, that he had to go through on his own. But I think if you can imagine, if you have nobody and you're going through this, if you're homeless on the street and these are your feelings and your thoughts, if you don't have a family and you don't have anyone to go to, I just don't understand how you could even cope.
I couldn't even imagine without having my mom, I'd be dead or in jail. I can honestly say that. Because without her, I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom completely. I would just sit on my couch, pop pill after pill. I don't know if you guys know the little bars, Xanax bars, 2 milligrams. I would take like 7 at a time and just numb myself out. There's people I would meet I didn't even remember meeting because it messes with your memory. So there's people texting me I didn't know. I was, driving crazy, just all this stuff. And
so when he was hospitalized for that last time, we had to go through 3 pretty tough days, and I can remember sitting in his apartment. So we were in the living room. We stayed there for about 3 days, and he was on the couch. He'd gotten released. One thing we didn't talk about is I believe it's due to all the medications. He now has physical illness. So he has esophageal ulcers, he has stomach ulcers, and he has a lesion on his liver. And so I do think it's from all the medication. So he had been hospitalized for some physical things as well. And once he got out, that was when he sat in the space that was probably as big as the stage for 3 days with the curtains closed, and he just detoxed off of all the drugs. And I remember this was probably my lowest point. Sitting in the chair and watching him, and I thought, this is no life for either of us. Ward, he's not happy. I'm not happy. it's constant struggle. And for the first time ever, I thought about murder-suicide made sense to me. That made sense. Put us out of our misery. We can't live like this. It will never, ever, ever work. And that was surely a low point for me, sitting up in a chair for 3 days, watching my son detox off his Xanax. And that was our turning point. That was our turning point.
Yeah, I still am dealing with everything the same. It's just I know how to cope a little bit better now. What would you say?
Well, from there, I mean, physically, I watched you get stronger. I watched him get stronger every day. I think he did hit rock bottom, and I think he needed to. And I think I've seen him take ownership for what his illness means in his life and really move forward. He has a positive job at the agency that keeps him busy. He works in our records management department. He is very much more responsible. He's not taking the drugs. He's not doing any of those activities that led him down that wrong path. And I think just really focusing on himself. He joined a gym, trying to do positive health things to make his mind work a little bit better. I think he's finally realizing that a pill isn't going to solve any of it. And then it will be a combination of things, and then those thoughts will always be there.
And some days are definitely harder than others, and that's what my prescriptions are for, just to calm me down. But I cry on a weekly basis. I'm still just always down. I have those. So I'll have what do I call it when I get my boost? I call it my serotonin.
Yeah.
I'll call it my serotonin boost. I'll feel good, and I want to get out the house and hang with friends. That'll be for a day or two, and then I'll go right back to my kind of like dark spot. Just be in my house, lock all the doors, close the curtains, and be paranoid and sketched out. And I don't know, it's a very, a lot of the times I just sit back and think like, wow, this is my life. And of course, others have it a lot worse. But just the things I've been through, and it could have been a lot worse. So I am thankful for that. Unfortunately, through all of this, kind of my religion, I question God a lot because, we're good people. So why was this happening? I didn't understand it. So my beliefs in the religion, it just kind of went downhill. So that kind of, I feel lost almost. Like, what is the point of life? Why are we here? So just a lot of things in my mind go on. And,
Yeah, so I think that we're walking this journey. We're walking it continuously. We are still going through, obviously, he will be 20 years old next month, so I think that there'll be a lot of growth in the next couple of years. And I think that I see positive things for Max. I think he's accomplished a lot in a very short period of time relative to his behaviors and modifying what his lifestyle is so that he can get a better clearer head and a better path to go. But we're still walking this journey, and I don't have an exact idea how it's going to end. He asked me all the time, what's going to happen when you're not here, Mom? And that's something that I have to think about. His dad lives in another state. And so when I think about what our families go through that don't have supports, or our children that are in child welfare, and I think about who do they have to turn to, I want to make it clear that we have to remove the stigma in particularly our communities around mental health so that these young people and even the families that we service can also get the help that they need. Because until you put, and that's what I think our biggest want is for sharing our story is to let people know that it happens to everyone. It happens to people that look like me and you. It's not just a bum on the street. Mental illness is a disease, and that it's not anyone's fault, and that we need to support and love and share resources and services to those who need it, because until we do, this is the type of suffering that you have. And again, he had all of the advantages and still suffered this way. So I can't imagine.
I couldn't even imagine being in a foster care facility. Going through nothing. I would have agreed to this. I could strongly 100% see that.
So in a lot of ways, we are we have statistics. Max does have his GED. I'm a single mother, but I see success in our story, and I think I told Max that our purpose and his purpose and why he questions God. I say this is why you're here, is to share your story with other people, so you can touch someone's life, and you will make a difference moving forward, and you will allow people to understand better.